I'm Trick, by the way. Is there a treat? Looks down. Is that where the treat is? Hello, and welcome to Trick and Treat. This is a Yandere dating sim in which you get lost in the woods during a thunderstorm. And luckily for you, you spy a house in the distance and meet a mysterious man named Trick. He seems kind enough to let you stay for the night, but just be careful, because there's a chance that he might not let you go. Let's get started. Alright, what's your name? Yinny. What are your pronouns? She, her. This is supposed to be a nice relaxing hike in the woods. Oh no. Can I just say the backgrounds are very cute. I like the colors. Enjoy the scenery, have a nice little picnic with yourself by a small lake, and maybe see some cute animals. That kind of thing. A couple of hours tops. Not accidentally take a wrong turn and find yourself passing the same mossy boulder and weirdly shaped tree 4 times, confirming the fact that you were indeed lost. Alright, time to call for help. Yeah, this sounds like me. I am like directionally challenged. I cannot navigate. With a sigh, you lean against a nearby tree and fish your phone out of your pocket to dial 911. However, instead of the familiar side of your lock screen, the screen stays black. You frown in confusion and hold down the power button. And much to your horror, the no battery icon flashes on the screen before disappearing. That is also me. I do not charge my phone. I am like constantly ghosting on 5%. You definitely charge your phone on the drive to the park though. You distinctly remember plugging it in before you open your Maps app to start your trip. Did your charger cable give out or something? You mutter a curse under your breath as you rack your brain on what to do next. Figures you didn't bother to pack a power bank for this trip either. Aww. I relate to this MC very heavily right now. Wandering through the forest was probably a bad idea. It was drawn into your head since you were a little kid to stay where you were if you were lost. You had let your friend know that you were going on this hike today, so if they don't hear back from you by tomorrow, they'll most likely contact the authorities on your behalf. Still, that means being stuck in the woods overnight. I do not want to be stuck in the Australian woods overnight. I would get bitten on the butt by a spider like several times. And not like the sexy spider like harness or something, like an actual Sydney funnel web. This is only supposed to be for a couple of hours, so it's not like you packed a tent or even food for that matter. All you had left in your backpack was an extra water bottle and a half-eaten granola bar. This was going to be a miserable night. Casting a glance at the forest around you, you try to work out what you could possibly do for shelter. You don't have any tools save for some personal protection items. It's not like you can pepper spray down a tree. The sun is rapidly beginning to set as well, leaving you with a sense of foreboding. Being stuck out here at night was the absolute last thing you wanted. At least the weather is nice. Not too hot, not too cold. One of those really pleasant, breezy midsummer days. As if on cue, you hear a distant rumble in the sky. Wow, just my luck. You're kidding me. Murphy's Law at its finest, or maybe God just hates you. So not only will you be stuck out in the forest at night, but during a storm. It's almost comical how quickly things are going downhill for you. You feel a few raindrops hit your skin as a brief warning before the sky begins to dump a metric ton of water down on you. Damn it! Screw staying in one place and waiting for rescue. You need to find some place to get out of the downpour ASAP. You begin jogging in a random direction with the small hope that you'll magically stumble upon the trail again in your search to get out of the rain. The sun hasn't completely set yet, but it may very well have with how dark the forest is next to the storm. You're never going to be able to find anything in these conditions. You can barely make out the underbrush and rocks on the ground below as you run. But just before you lost all hope, however, you spot something in the distance. A soft orange glow is peeking out from between the trees in front of you, and a large shape quickly comes into view as you near. It's a house! The orange glow you saw seems to be coming from jack-o'-lanterns. Several of them sit on the porch of the house, candles flickering inside them and illuminating their carved faces. This house looks like the house from Monster House. But I guess beggars can't be choosers in this weather. It's a little early for Halloween, but not as weird as those people who leave Christmas lights up till July, you suppose. Still, the lit pumpkins mean that someone's definitely home. Is the door open? The door kinda looks open. You breathe a sigh of relief and quickly make your way up to the porch steps and to the front door. Hopefully, whoever lived there would at least let you use their phone. You knock a few times on the wood and step back. A few moments later, the door opens. Hello? That guy is totally a vampire. A young man stands in the open doorway, his bright orange eyes giving you a quick once-over and noting your drenched appearance. You swear you spot an amused smirk on his face before it quickly changes to a smile. You poor thing. Yeah, come in before you catch a cold. He gives you a sympathetic look and quickly ushers you into the house before closing the door behind you. You find yourself in a cozy yet surprisingly elegant entryway. Your attention shifts back to the man as you hear the sound of a lock clicking behind you. When he notices your slightly anxious stare, he smiles apologetically once more. I'm sorry, it's a bad habit to keep the front door locked at night. Can't be too careful living out in the woods. I didn't mean to freak you out or anything. No, that makes perfect sense. I want to be safe out here too. Yes, let's beat Delulu. That's the price you pay for the amazing view and peaceful solitude, I guess. The man chuckles and shrugs. I'm Trick, by the way. Is there a treat? Looks down towards his crotch. Is that where the treat is? Sometimes I surprise even myself. He flashes you a small grin, reaching out a gloved hand for you to shake. I'm Yinny. You take his hand and accept the handshake, unable to keep the perplexed look off your face at his introduction. Trick notices your expression and grins a bit wider, seemingly finding it humorous. Let me take a guess. My name. I wasn't gonna say anything. Trick laughs at this and shakes his head. It's not my real name, just a nickname I've had since I was little. It's stuck, so it's what I go by. You open your mouth, unsure if you should pry further, but he suddenly claps his hands together, startling you a bit. So, your turn. How on earth did you get stuck out in the forest during a thunderstorm? You grimace and shift your eyes away in shame and embarrassment. I was taking a hike on one of the trails and got lost. I tried to find my way back to the path, but... And why did you think it was a smart idea to wander off the path to begin with? They're clearly marked, aren't they? Alright, okay. I don't come in here and judge your decor even though you've got... I don't know. Actually, you know what? The interior looks pretty nice. I got nothing to say. It's not like I did it on purpose. It just looked like it was a fork, and in retrospect, I think the path I took was just an animal trail. You muttered the last part quietly, feeling your cheeks grow warm with embarrassment at your stupidity. You glance at Trick again. After a moment, I noticed the pitying expression on his face. Hindsight is 20/20 for a reason. He puts up his hands in mock surrender. Not trying to make you feel worse or anything. The stupid decisions aside, things could have turned out worse for you, right? You could have been struck by lightning, died of exposure, gotten mauled by a deer, fallen down a ravine. He begins casually listing off more possible gruesome outcomes for you on his fingers before you quickly cut him off. Okay, I get it. You don't need to remind me. Trick shrugs and gives you an easy grin. Just saying. He takes a moment to look you over again, a contemplative look crossing his features. Doing a towel or something? You're creating a small lake on the floor. You cast a quick glance down and notice a large puddle beneath your feet. Realizing just how drenched you got in the storm, you grimace and give a small embarrassed nod. That'll be appreciated, yes. Oh, you suddenly remember why you came to this house to begin with. Can I borrow your phone? Mine is dead. Trick gives you another pitying look. Leave some bad luck for the rest of the world, yeah? Lost in the woods during a storm and a dead phone? You're a mess. Well, in any case, I'm about to add to your bad luck. The storm knocked the power out, hence all the candles, so that's a no-go on the phone until it comes back on. He gives you an apologetic smile, though his tone of voice suggests that he really isn't that sorry about your circumstances. An exasperated groan escapes your lips as you rack your brain on what to do about your increasingly terrible situation. You look like a kicked puppy. Do you think I'm just gonna kick you back out into the storm in the middle of the night or something? You can stay here for the night. I don't mind. I have a guest bedroom you can use. Are you serious? Thank you so much. You let out a relieved sigh and flash Trick a grateful smile. I really appreciate it. Trick shrugs and returns your smile. No problem. I'm happy to have company for the night in any case. Now that that's settled, let me go grab that towel. He turns to walk away before pausing and glancing once more at your soaked form. Actually, do you want to change your clothes? I can probably scrounge up an old t-shirt and a pair of pajama pants or something. He notices your hesitant look as you look over his offer and he smirks at you. Unless you prefer to stay in those and catch a cold. You sigh and push back your reservations. You're already staying the night at his house, sure. It was awkward borrowing a stranger's clothes, but you didn't have much of a choice. No, a change of clothes sounds nice. Thank you again. Trick grins, looking pleased. Perfect. Sit tight while I go grab those. Feel free to leave your shoes by the door. And with that he turns on his heel and ventures down the hall, disappearing into one of the rooms. I feel sussy. Following his advice, you take off your shoes and set them by the door. It feels much better not to be squishing around in wet shoes anymore. But your socks aren't in a better condition either, so you strip those off as well. After a few minutes, you hear the sound of a door opening and spot Trick heading back towards you, carrying a bundle of clothes in his arms. You can see what looks like a simple grey t-shirt, as well as a pair of pumpkin-padded pajama pants. He notices your gaze and the grin on his face gets bigger, as if reading your thoughts. Cute, right? I thought they suited you. You really like jack-o'-lanterns, huh? I saw the jack-o'-lantern on the porch. That obvious. It's my favorite holiday. That's actually how I got my nickname. I was mischievous when I was little. Trick pushes the clothes into your arms and gestures towards one of the doors in the hallway. That's a bathroom. Go get changed and leave your wet clothes in the hamper. I'll hang them up for you so they'll be dry tomorrow morning. Thank you again for all this, you say softly, a little floored by how generous and accommodating he was being to a complete stranger who showed up on his doorstep. Trick smiles widely in response and gives you a little push towards the bathroom. You're welcome. Now go. It's physically hurting me seeing you still in those wet clothes. You chuckle at his tone and make your way to the bathroom, shutting and locking the door behind you. Okay, so far, ordinary bathroom. After quickly stripping out of your wet clothes, you change into the new ones that Trick provided. The show was a bit long on you, but otherwise fit fine, and the pumpkin pajama pants felt incredibly soft and comfortable on your cold skin. You toss your old clothes into the hamper in the corner before stepping back out into the candlelit hallway once more. Trick gives you a once-over, smiling widely in approval. Adorable. Glad I picked those ones out. Feel better now? You feel your cheeks grow warm at his compliment, and you nod in response. Thank you. Seeing as I don't have to worry about you catching a cold anymore, how about I make you something to eat? I'm sure you'd appreciate something warm in your stomach. No, seriously, you've already done so much for me, and your words are cut off by the subtle sound of your stomach growling at the mention of a hot meal. Trick's overly smug expression returns. They didn't even bother to say anything this time. Dinner would be appreciated. I haven't had anything since lunch. That's what I thought. How's a grilled cheese sandwich and tomato soup sound? That sounds wonderful, actually. That's the perfect meal for a night like this. In my opinion, anyway. Plus, it's simple to make and I don't want you to have to wait any longer than necessary to eat. I mean, it is pretty much like nice soup weather, though. That sounds amazing right now. Can I at least help you cook? I feel guilty letting you do this all for me. Sorry, Yandere, but this is a one-person job. You can help by getting comfy at the table and being patient. You fight the urge to pout and argue with him. It's clear he isn't going to budge on his stance. And Trick leads you into a cozy little kitchen and gestures to a small table near the window before he moves to begin gathering ingredients to cook for you. After sitting down at the table, you notice a fairly large bowl of Halloween candy sitting in the center. Trick notices you're looking at it as he grabs a pan from the cabinet and smiles. Help yourself. It'll take me months to get through that entire bowl myself. I assumed it was for trick-or-treaters, though I guess Halloween is still a ways away. You really think I get trick-or-treaters when I live out here in the middle of the forest? Nah, I'm just a huge candy-holic. Anything with sugar, really. My sense of taste is pretty much non-existent. And really sweet things are about the only thing I actually enjoy. Oh, I'm sorry, that really sucks. You say sympathetically. You can't imagine not being able to fully enjoy all your favorite foods. Trick shrugs, flashing with a smile before he lights the burners on the stove with a match and then focuses on searing the grilled cheese on the pan. No biggie, just gives me the excuse to bake all sorts of yummy treats for myself. A comfortable silence falls over the room as you rest your head on your hand while watching Trick cook. The candlelit atmosphere is relaxing, especially after the night you've had. A quick glance out the window beside you shows that the storm is still raging outside, and you shudder to think about what could have happened if you hadn't stumbled upon Trick's house by accident. After a little while, Trick walks over and places your food in front of you, as well as a glass of water. Your mouth instantly starts watering at the sight of perfectly toasted grilled cheese and the smell of the tomato soup. This looks delicious. Thank you so much. Trick grins softly at your response as he takes a seat at the table opposite from you. You're welcome. Dig in. You eagerly lift the sandwich to your mouth and begin eating. Despite your hunger, you try not to wolf the whole thing down in one go and embarrass yourself in front of your host. The food tastes even better than it looks, and you instantly feel your stress melt away after just a few bites. Trick chuckles, watching you polish off the last bits of your meal and quirks a brow. You're really boosting my ego about my cooking skills with that kind of reaction. Good, because that was delicious, and you deserve a little ego boost. His teasing grin softens into a sincere smile as he gazes at you from across the table. What a sweet thing you are. Thank you. Trick stands up from his seat at the table and gathers your dishes with a smile. In any case, I'm glad you enjoyed. Are you feeling better now? You stand up as well, stretch your arms above your head, feeling your joints crack in a satisfying manner. Much better. Thank you again. Trick places the dishes in the sink before turning back to you. Don't mention it. Happy to be of service. He offers you a mock bow and snickers before straightening. How about I make you some tea to help you relax for bed? It's getting late. He adds, casting a glance at the clock on the wall. Sure, tea sounds nice. I can see Pud licking her paw. What kind of tea would you like? I've got pumpkin spice, honey milk, lavender chamomile. Pumpkin spice. Ooh, lavender though. Lavender chamomile. Lavender chamomile. Lavender chamomile, please. That'll be good for helping my mind shut off for bed. Oh yeah? It'll knock you right out, I'm sure. I thought, for a second I misread that and I thought it said I'll knock you right up and I'm like, whoa, what? But alas, it was just me being a pervert. Trick chuckles and quickly sets to work on your desired pot of tea. And after a few minutes passes you a teacup with a cute little pumpkin and candies on it. You chuckle as you take the teacup from him and admire the design. Is everything you own Halloween themed? Absolutely. Wait till you see the jack-o'-lantern shaped fireplace or the fact that the bed in the guest room is just a coffin. He replies sarcastically, smirking at you. But no, I just have a small collection. I could be far worse, believe me. Speaking of, come on. You can come sit in front of the fireplace while you finish your tea. He gestures for you to follow him out of the kitchen, and he leads you into a spacious yet cozy living room. A fire is blazing in the completely normal fireplace, giving the room a soft, warm glow. Trick plops himself down on an antique-looking velvet couch by the fireplace and motions for you to join him. You hesitate for just a moment before sitting down on the opposite end of the couch. Your gaze falling to the fireplace as you sip your tea. Trick watches you for a moment as you drink before he turns to look at the fireplace as well, a pleased look on his face. I really am sorry you're stuck in my boring old house for the night. He turns to look at you again, grinning softly. But I really am happy you're here. I don't have company often. Not at all. I'm really thankful for everything you've done for me. I'd be out there huddling pathetically under a tree and shivering from the cold if it weren't for you. You nod your head to the window where the rain was aggressively pelting the grass. Trick shrugs and reclines back on the couch, kicking his feet up on the coffee table. Anyone else would have done the same. I couldn't leave such a cute little thing like you out in a storm like that. Your cheeks flush and your gaze falls to the fireplace once more. Taking another sip of your tea, you relax fully against the cushions as you watch the fire crackle for a few minutes and finish the rest of your tea. You glance at Trick at the corner of your eye and see that he's staring at you with an unreadable expression on his face. He notices you looking at him and seems to snap out of his daze, offering you an apologetic smile. Sorry, you just remind me of someone I used to know is all. You go to reply, but instead of words, a large yawn escapes your lips and you realize just how tired you actually are. It's as if all the stress of the day has caught up with you and hit you all at once. You set your now empty teacup on the coffee table before you accidentally drop it as you fight to keep your eyes open. Trick notices your sudden change in demeanor and stands up, offering you a gloved hand. You look like you're about to pass out on the spot. Let's get you to bed. I'll show you to the guest room. You go to reply and you're cut off with another yawn, making Trick chuckle. Sorry, I think my exhaustion has caught up with me. You take his hand and he helps to pull you to your feet. You wobble for a moment before steadying. Trick puts a hand on your shoulder to give you balance as you shuffle down the hallway and into a darkened room. He leads you over to the bed before quickly moving to light a few candles. Do you need anything before I leave you alone? I can grab you extra pillows or blankets. You shake your head, fighting the powerful urge to lay back and fall asleep right then and there. I'm good, thank you. Trick shakes his head fondly at your sleepy demeanor. You're adorable when you're tired. Get some rest. I'll have a big breakfast waiting for you in the morning. Sweet dreams, Pumpkin. By the time Trick's words register in your sleepy mind, he had already shut the door and left you alone. Pumpkin? Did he seriously just give you a pet name? Your face felt like it was on fire. That was something for morning you need to unpack. You were gonna fall asleep in the next minute whether you liked it or not. And you'd rather it be tucked in bed rather than sprawl down on top of it. The moment you got under the blankets and your head hit the pillow, you were out like a light. An hour or so later, the door to the room slowly opens, creaking gently on the old hinges. Trick quietly steps into the room and makes his way over to your peacefully sleeping form under the blankets. He takes a moment to observe you, his eyes lingering for a long time on your face. A soft, wistful sigh escapes him as he reaches out to gingerly brush his fingertips over your cheek. Aha, there we go. You're everything I've been waiting for. He murmurs under his breath as he tucks a strand of hair behind your ear. I won't mess up this time. I won't be alone again. His fingers linger on your skin for just a moment longer before he reluctantly pulls away. You'll stay with me forever, won't you, Pumpkin? Oh, there it is. There's the Yandere. He chuckles quietly before turning back to leave the room, closing the door behind him as you continue to slumber, completely unaware in your bed. Speaking of slumbering unaware in their bed, everybody look at Pud in the bottom right corner. You wake up the next morning to the smell of bacon drifting into the room. You feel significantly better than yesterday and realize just how much you needed to sleep. With a yawn and a big satisfying stretch, you climb out of bed and walk over to the vanity in the corner of the room to briefly check your appearance and fix your bed head. After that, you left the bedroom and made your way to the kitchen, following the scent of food being cooked. You spot Trick at the stove, frying up bacon and eggs in the skillet. When he notices you in the doorway, he motions you to come in with a smile. Morning, Pumpkin. Did you sleep well? Ah, so it wasn't an exhaustion-induced hallucination from last night. He really did call you that. Trick notices the color in your cheeks and your surprised expression, making him grin. What? You don't like it? I thought it fit. His orange eyes dart down to the borrowed pajama pants you're still wearing, making you even more embarrassed. Do you dislike the nickname? It's embarrassing and a little odd for someone you met very recently to give you one, but you do kind of like hearing it come from him. And there are some other sounds I would also like to hear coming from him, but you know, those are some very dangerous thoughts to be having about someone you literally just met. Time to put a lid on it before it gets out of hand. Trick, unbeknownst to your internal battle with yourself, is still staring at you impatiently waiting on a response. It's embarrassing, but honestly I kind of like it. Yeah, I sure do. Trick's expression brightens considerably, his eyes almost sparkling with delight. Glad we're in agreement then. Honestly, you should be honored I gave you a nickname based on one of my favorite things. Pumpkins are adorable. You included, of course. Now, would you mind being dull and helping us set the table while I finish cooking? Well, you're actually letting me help this time. You reply in a sarcastic tone, eager for the conversation to change from the topic of your new nickname. Trick snorts at your reply and rolls his eyes. Anyways, plates and cups are in the cabinet above the sink, and silverware's in that drawer. You follow his instructions and prepare the table for the two of you to have breakfast before sitting down and waiting for him. A minute or so later, Trick returns to begin dishing out the food. Soon enough, your plate is full of fluffy-looking pancakes, sizzling bacon, and perfectly cooked eggs. He finishes by filling up your cup with fresh orange juice. And thank you for cooking for me again. You give him a grateful smile as he takes a seat from you across the table. Though noticing that he didn't get any food for himself, you frown in confusion. Are you not eating? Trick looks caught off guard for a moment before giving you a casual smile. I'm not really the type to eat first thing in the morning. I'll have some later. Gotcha. Made sense. Sometimes you get nauseous if you ate the first thing after waking up, too. After finishing your breakfast, you lean back in your chair with a satisfied sigh. That's delicious. You're a really good cook, Trick. Oh, thanks, Pumpkin. I'm glad you enjoyed it. He smiles warmly at you as he gets up to take your dirty dishes to the sink. When he rejoins you at the table, his expression looks more serious.
So I don't know if you noticed, but
He gestures towards the windows and you follow his gaze to peer outside. It was still storming from the looks of it. Rain was coming down so heavily that you could barely see the tree line at the edge of the property.
I have a raincoat and umbrella you could have. But I really don't recommend trying to find a trail in that weather.
You grate and drop your head onto the kitchen table. He was right. Even if it was light outside now, you're still just as lost as you were last night. And I suppose the power didn't miraculously come back on. Trick smiles sheepishly and reaches out to flick on the light switch, and unsurprisingly, nothing happens.
Sorry, I live way out in the middle of nowhere, so chances are the power company probably won't work to restore it until the storm passes.
You let out an exasperated groan. Your head still face down on the table. You feel Trick's hand give your head a gentle pat.
You can just stay the night again if it comes to that, no big deal. Who knows, the power might be back on in a few hours, you can make that phone call then.
A sigh escapes your lips as you raise your head to look at him. Isn't that imposing way too much?
Hey, you can say I'm keeping you here against your will if it makes you feel better. Because there's no way in hell I'm letting you leave in this weather.
I feel like I'm saying this a lot lately, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Trick. His expression brightens and you notice that he looks a little bit too happy. Almost like he was pleased about having your stay with him extended.
The pleasure's all mine. Believe me.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, since the power's out, we have an abundance of time on our hands. Let's figure out something to do, Although, maybe you'd like a shower first. I can grab you a fresh change of clothes too.
Absolutely. A shower sounds perfect right now. Especially after being drenched in the rain last night. Trick smiles sympathetically.
I figured. I would have offered last night, but I could tell you was too stressed and exhausted.
Thank you. I definitely feel like a shower would do me some good.
Perfect. Let me go grab you a change of clothes.
You watch as Trick disappears down the hall and into a room before turning your attention out to the window till the storm's still raging outside. Hopefully it'll clear up soon and you can finally call for help. As nice as it is staying with Trick, you really want to get back home. Still, all things considered, you'd rather get lucky. You did get rather lucky. You're incredibly thankful for Trick's generosity. And some small part of your mind is especially thankful he's not bad to look at either. Fun personality too. Before you can continue any further with that topic, you see Trick coming back down the hall carrying fresh clothes in his arms. He flashes you an easy smile, then passes them to you.
I just grabbed a t-shirt and sweatpants. I figured you want to be comfy. Your clothes from yesterday are still a little damp.
No pumpkins this time. You ask, raising an eyebrow at him as you examine the clothes in your arms.
Not this time, but don't think you're getting out of the nickname that easily. You're stuck with it for life, pumpkin.
Lucky me. You reply sarcastically, but flash him a small grin to show that you're joking. For life, though. You most likely will never run into Trick again after you leave, but maybe if you exchange contact information. But...
You heard me? What, you didn't expect to see me anymore in the future after all this? I'm hurt. I thought we were really bonding here.
He fakes a pout, crossing his arms. I've known you for less than 24 hours.
Your point? People give their numbers out to the baristas at coffee shops on a whim, don't they? I'm not trying to be pushy or anything, but I do feel something between us already, Yandere. Even if it's only been a short period of time.
The half-felt sincere smile Trick gives you makes you want to agree with him on instinct alone. You're right. There's no reason why we can't keep in contact after all this is sorted out, I guess. You return his smile with a slightly awkward one, still unsure about your current feelings for him. Yes, he's cute, friendly, and certainly very generous. He's able to make you smile effortlessly, but the rational part of your mind is telling you not to fall for things too easily. Trick's charismatic and charming, but almost to the extent where it feels fake, like he's trying too hard to appeal to you, so that makes you uneasy. Though at the same time, if he had any ill intentions, he had plenty of chances already to take advantage of the situation. So maybe you're just reading too much into things. Or maybe I'm not? Unaware of your mental back and forth with yourself, smiles at you again.
Ready for the shower now?
Yeah, probably for the best. Thank you. You in the joint? Trick grins and stands up from the table, offering a gloved hand to you to help you out of your chair. You mentally will yourself not to blush as you take it and allow him to pull you to your feet. You swear Trick can sense your internal thoughts regardless as you spot the smug look flash across his features for a moment. He lets go of your hand just a second or two, shy of what would be considered too long, and motions for you to follow him into the hall. He points to the doorway that leads to the bathroom and gives you a gentle push in that direction.
Fresh towels are in the cabinet. I'll be in the living room when you're done, okay?
I'll be quick. You reassure him, still feeling a little awkward about borrowing his shower. The bathroom is much nicer now, and you can actually see it in daylight compared to last night. The bathtub is an elegant clawfoot tub that gives the otherwise modern room a cozy antique style. After locking the door, you quickly locate the towels and strip, getting right into a shower. Trick, unsurprisingly, has autumn-scented shower products available for use, making you roll your eyes at his obsession. It was kinda cute at this point though. You wash yourself thoroughly and step out of the tub feeling refreshed. The stress of yesterday's predicament feels far from your mind at this point. You dry off with the towel and change into the new clothes Trick provided, surprised at how well they fit you. After quickly brushing out your wet hair in the mirror, you head to the living room to join Trick. Trick smiles and gestures to the couch as you walk into the room before you take a seat on the plush cushions next to him.
Feel better? You look...
He pauses trying to find the right words.
Less on edge. Stressed. You look better is what I mean.
I do actually feel a lot better after that, yeah. Like, the situation sucks, but I really am grateful for everything. The meals, the bed, the shower. Thank you, Trick. He beams at you in response and reaches over to pat your wet hair, causing you to stiffen in a mixture of surprise and embarrassment.
Of course, Pumpkin. Happy to be your knight in shining armor. So now that you're all nice and refreshed, how about a board game to pass the time?
You better be ready to lose then. Trick looks surprised for a moment at your sudden confidence before bursting into laughter.
Feisty, I like it. Don't think that means I'll take it easy on you though. I'll go grab the game. Be right back.
Look down the hallway and you can hear his boots as he climbs the staircase to the second floor. You take a moment to look around the living room while you wait. It's a fairly cozy room, especially with the fireplace. Trick doesn't really have any decorations, but you do spot a few Halloween figures on some of the shelves, making you smile and shake your head. On the side table next to the couch, however, you spot a picture frame that's lying face down. You carefully stand it back up on the table, but a small gasp leaves your mouth as you take a look at the photo. The photo is a normal picture of a child holding a doll in their lap, except the child's face seems to be violently scratched out with a sharp object, leaving it completely unrecognizable.
Oh?
Did Trick do this? Was it a photo of him that he wanted to erase for some reason? The deep scratches across the photo sends a chill down your spine. Interesting. I wonder if Trick is this doll that came to life. There's one other odd thing about the photo, however, that catches your attention. The doll in the child's lap bears a striking resemblance to Trick. It's almost disturbing how similar they look, really. The doll seems to have the same blonde hair. The buttons for eyes are orange, and the doll even seems to be wearing a similar outfit. Creepy. Maybe this was a childhood best friend that he had a falling out with. And they still have matching dolls of each other. That's the most logical conclusion, at least. Still, the picture gives you the creeps. Before you can think too much more about it, however, you hear footsteps coming back down the stairs. Trick is coming back with the board game. Quickly, you flip the photo frame back in its face-down position on the side table and place your hands in your lap. That's a very careless place to leave it, though. You flash Trick a smile that you hope looks casual as he walks back into the room carrying a box in his hands. Trick looks at you with an unreadable expression for a moment, almost like he was studying your face. After a moment though, he returns your smile and sets the box down on the coffee table.
Sorry that took me a bit, but I had to dig around in the attic for this thing.
No worries, I was just admiring the decor while I waited. The room is really cozy. And I like the little Halloween pieces you have sprinkled in. You smile at him again, silently relieved that you didn't get caught seeing a photo you clearly weren't supposed to.
Aw, thanks, Pumpkin. I can't take too much credit though. I sort of inherited the house from an old friend of mine.
Uh-huh. He pauses for a moment and you swear you can see his expression darken. A second later though, his sunny smile is back.
Her parents did most of the decorating. I just threw in a few things here and there.
You jaw drops a little at the casual revelation. They just gave you the entire house.
It was kind of a special circumstance. They wanted to move out in a hurry, so they left the house to me. I used to be a very close friend of the family.
He explains, propping up one of the books on the coffee table. You begin to get the sense that Trick really doesn't want to get into the topic, but you can't resist asking about it regardless. Used to be. Did you ever falling out or something? Your mind immediately drifts to the photo you saw as you try and piece together the things in your mind. Trick's expression sours again, and he begins drumming his gloved fingertips on the arm of the couch.
Something like that.
He replies bitterly, his orange eyes now firmly trained onto the wall. Mouth set in the hard line, it's clear he's not very eager to continue the conversation. Not wanting to pry any further, you're quick to change topics by reaching out and lifting the lid off the board game's box. Anyways, let's get started, shall we? You reply trying to sound peppy, but it really just comes off as awkward. Trick continues to stare at the wall for a few moments before sighing.
Right.
You and Trick begin playing the board game. You can tell that his heart really isn't in it. The falling out with his friend must really weigh on him even to this day. By the second round though, he seems closer to his normal self, even cracking a few jokes here and there. An hour or so goes by and Trick begins cleaning up the board game and packing it back into his box.
Well, I know it wasn't the most entertaining thing, but I hope you had a little fun, Pumpkin.
I did actually. I can't remember the last time I played a board game. A low rumble of thunder suddenly shakes the house, making you realize that you probably won't be leaving anytime soon still. And what storm lasts 2 days? Trick grimaces and shrugs, glancing out the window at the heavy rain still coming down.
Did you not check the weather before you went out on your little hike yesterday? You think that would have been a warning or something?
It was sunny and gorgeous outside, so I just kind of assumed. Trick gives you a pitying look.
Well, stupid decision aside, at least you're not stuck out in that. And the storm can only last so long. The power will be back on before you know it.
You roll your eyes, finding the urge to pout as he basically calls you stupid.
Oh, don't look at me like that. I have another idea for something we could do to pass the time. Want to help me bake a pie?
How are we going to do that with the power out? Thankfully, Trick was able to light the stove with a match, but the same couldn't be said for an oven. Aww.
True, that's why we're going to use that.
He points to the far corner of the living room and you spot an old wood-burning stove. You want to attempt to bake a pie over an actual fire.
Pumpkin, please. That's how things are done before gas or electric ovens were invented, right?
I mean, I suppose so.
Besides, I've seen it used to bake before.
If you're sure, what kind of pie do you want to bake?
Apple? Blueberry?
He gives you a glance, a smirk growing on his face.
Pumpkin.
There's no way you can stop the blush from rising to your cheeks from a comment like that. Trick just grins wider and nods to himself.
Yep, that's the flavor I want to make for sure. A nice, delicious pumpkin pie.
Shut up, you know exactly what you're doing.
And what exactly am I doing, Pumpkin? I can't help but have a favorite pie flavor.
Before you can curse him out, he cuts you off.
Now, come to the kitchen with me and let's get started.
An exasperated sigh escapes your lips, but you follow after him anyway. He instructs you where to find the necessary ingredients while he begins grabbing cooking utensils. Trick begins mixing together the pie dough while you work on making the filling. Similar to last night, you feel his eyes on you as you mix and glance over at him. Trick is staring intently at you, seemingly mapping out the details of your face and appearance. You seriously gotta stop the staring thing. It's creeping me out. He chuckles, clearly not worried about the fact that he's unsettling you.
I know. Sorry.
You said I look like someone you used to know. You briefly wonder if it's the same person from the picture, Trick's old friend. The image in your head of the scratch-out face makes you momentarily pause in making the pie filling. Trick sighs heavily at your question.
You do, to an alarming extent, really. I know that you're not her, obviously, but it's difficult seeing someone that looks so similar, that's all.
You hum in response, not really knowing what to say to him. Trick also goes quiet, once again concentrating on making the pie dough. He speaks up again after a minute or so, though.
So tell me about yourself. We haven't really talked much about you since you got here.
The question catches you off guard and you're really not sure where to begin. However, after some thought, you fall into rambling about random aspects of your life and hobbies. Trick listens intently as the two of you work to assemble the pie, chiming in here and there and making comments. The conversation actually ends up being fairly pleasant, and you find that Trick and you have quite a few things in common. By the time you're out of topics to talk about, the pie is ready to be baked. You follow Trick back to the living room and watch as he carefully places the pie into the wood-burning stove. You take a seat back on the couch and wait as the pie cooks and turns to look at Trick. Your turn. I rambled on about myself, so it's only fair you do the same. Trick pops down next to you on the couch and sighs in exasperation.
I really don't like talking about myself, but I guess I can for you, Pumpkin.
He kicks his boots up to the coffee table and reclines back before he begins speaking.
My memories of when I was little are a little fuzzy. It's hard for me to recall any specific details before a certain point in my life, though I do remember my best friend clearly, the one you remind me of. We spent literally every day together for years. We played all the same games, watched the same movies, had sleepovers.
He trails off, his voice sounding fond and nostalgic.
She's the reason I love Halloween so much. It was her favorite holiday ever since she was little, and it rubbed off on me, I guess. But eventually we grew apart. We didn't talk for years. I tried to reconnect, but it didn't exactly go well. I haven't seen her since.
Continues, his voice taking on the same bitter tone from earlier.
So I've just been trying to live my own life since then. But all I can feel is a void, like a chunk of me was ripped out. Imagine abandoning your best friend since childhood. We've been together for over a decade.
He suddenly growls out, his fingers gripping the arm of the couch in anger. He sighs again after a moment and his grip relaxes.
I'm sorry. It's not a subject I enjoy thinking about. My life isn't all that interesting.
No, it's just... You trail off, trying to find the right words to say to him. What a shitty situation. How do you even comfort someone about something like that? I'm sorry you went through that. Your friend was in the wrong. You frown, reaching over to gently lay your hand on his shoulder. Trick smiles at the contact and reaches out to ruffle your hair in return.
Thanks, Pumpkin.
I know it sucks, but sometimes friends drift apart as they get older. Trick stiffens up at your words, his fingers gripping the couch cushion again. And you realize that might have been the wrong thing to say.
I wasn't drifting apart, she abandoned me.
Trick lets out a breath and turns to look at you again, his expression hard.
Let's put this into perspective. Do you have a favorite toy growing up?
I did, yeah. Okay, yeah, now I really think that he is the doll. You reply with a grimace, already having a feeling you know where he's going with this.
And would you just one day decide you're too old to play with that toy and toss it aside to collect dust? Forget all the fond memories with it.
Your thoughts drift to your favorite childhood toy sitting on the shelf above your bed. Even though you don't play with it anymore, it does still hold a special place in your heart no matter how old you get. I get your point, but people aren't toys. They grow and change. And sometimes they're not as compatible as they used to be. You say gently, not wanting to upset Trick any more than he already is. But being so attached to a childhood best friend isn't exactly healthy.
You don't get it.
He snaps suddenly, his orange eyes narrowed at you in bitter rage.
You don't understand how close we were.
He says in a quiet, more somber tone, and he turns his gaze from you back to the floor. You're quiet for a bit as you sat there thinking. You regret putting your nose where it doesn't belong in terms of his past relationships. That's a job for a therapist, not some random person he met yesterday. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pushed, it wasn't my place. You finally say in a soft tone as you shift a bit closer to him on the couch. Trick doesn't reply verbally. Instead, he suddenly moves to pull you into a tight hug. Whoa! A surprised noise escapes you as you're suddenly crushed against his body. But after a moment, you loosely wrap your arms back around him in return and pat his back. I'm surprised I'm not unnerved yet. Trick squeezes you briefly before letting go and shifts back to his original spot on the couch.
It's fine. I'm sorry for pouncing on you like that, Pumpkin.
I'm sure you can pounce on me in many other ways later, but right now, let's just finish this board game.
I'm not normally so emotional.
He tries to give you one of his normal grins, but it ends up looking strained. Don't worry about it. I'm sorry too.
No reason to be. Now let me check on the pie real quick.
He stands up from the couch and kneels down on the floor to check how the pie is cooking from inside the wood-burning stove.
Maybe a few more minutes and it'll be done. The edges need to brown a little more.
Trick returns to his spot next to you on the couch, reclining back once more and flashing you a smile. You smile back and try to move on from the tense conversation you just had. So do you keep your Halloween decorations up all year long, or do you just start decorating early? Trick snorts and gives you a quick glance at some of the small decorations in the room.
All year round. I'm too lazy to take them down. It's all small stuff anyway, so I don't see the harm.
You chuckle a little as well. Trick is really like those people that leave their Christmas lights up till July.
So hey.
He starts, his eyes meeting yours as he shifts to face you on the couch.
I know your situation isn't ideal, but I hope you're enjoying yourself here with me, at least a little bit.
I suppose you rank slightly higher than being out in the storm. You grin at him to let him know that you're kidding. He snorts in response and rolls his eyes before lightly pinching your cheek in a playful manner. Which one, my face cheek or my butt cheek?
Brat.
Trick turns back towards the stove again and gets to his feet.
Alright, pie should be just about done.
He kneels down and puts on oven mitts before retrieving the pie from the stove. You follow along behind him as he motions for you to come into the kitchen to serve it. Now familiar with his cabinets, you grab 2 plates down as well as forks from the drawer before taking your seat at the dinner table.
Look at you making yourself at home. This was awfully domestic.
He teases, cutting into the pie and placing 1 slice on your plate before serving himself one as well.
Technically, we should set this aside for a few hours before eating it, but I'm way too impatient for that.
He smirks as he sits down at the table across from you and picks up his fork. It'll still taste the same, the consistency will just be a little different. You shrug, lifting a piece of pie to your lips before wincing as it touches your mouth. Still too hot. To your surprise, however, you see Trick take a bite without even flinching and your jaw drops slightly as you stare at him in concern. How is your tongue not experiencing 3rd-degree burns? The pie is way too hot to eat. Blinks at you for a moment, looking bewildered before a look of realization crosses his features.
Oh, my nose and my mouth are dull. Remember how my sense of taste isn't great? It's related.
Yeah, something is very sus. I don't think he's human. He replies, chuckling awkwardly. Oh, gotcha. Well, even if you can't feel it, you can still burn your mouth, so be careful in the future. You scold him and he suddenly rolls his eyes in return. Trick makes a show of blowing on the next forkful of pie before he eats it. You take a bite as well and sigh happily at the taste. Yeah, it's a little weird eating it hot, but it still tastes divine. Do we not eat pumpkin pie hot? Pumpkin pie is not really a thing in Australia. Trick smiles at you as he watches you all but devour the slice on your plate.
I take it you like it then.
You grin sheepishly at your own behavior and make an effort to eat the last few bites at a slower pace. It's amazing. Thank you for baking and sharing it with me.
You hope, silly. Though eating sugar this late is gonna ruin your appetite for dinner. I figured I'd just make a simple stew or something. That's alright with you?
Stew sounds good. What's easier than throwing a whole bunch of ingredients in a big pot and cooking it over the stove?
Perfect. I'll prep here in a little bit and have the stew ready for later.
Trick stands up from the table and collects the dishes before beginning to wash them in the sink. Not wanting to stand around without helping, you move up beside him and work to dry the dishes and put them back into their places.
You're such a little sweetheart, Pumpkin. Couldn't resist helping her.
You cooked me food, kept me entertained, and given me shelter when I really needed it. I'm not just gonna mooch off of you without giving back where I can.
Keep it up and I'll be forced to keep you here with me forever.
Yeah, I bet you like that, wouldn't you?
You're in such good company. I'll be sad to see you go tomorrow.
I can always come back and visit, you know. Don't be so dramatic. You snort and roll your eyes at him. You expect a snarky reply in return, but when you glance at Trick again, he's staring at you with an almost stunned look on his face.
You would come back and visit me?
He asks softly, his voice barely audible over the running water in the sink. Before you can reply, however, Trick's expression returns to its usual smug one.
I'm honored, Pumpkin. You're welcome here anytime.
You ignore his smug act and flash him a sincere smile in return. It was clear that your willingness to come back and see him meant a lot to him, even if he tried to mask it. The two of you successfully clean up all the dishes, and Trick looks at you with a grin.
Now, let's figure out how to kill a few hours until dinner time, shall we?
You and Trick manage to find a lot of things to do given the lack of power and the ability to go outside the house. Cards, word games, sharing stories. Hell, he even busts out coloring books and crayons towards the end, Halloween themed of course. By the time the sun was beginning to set outside, you were busy helping Trick set the table for dinner, while he was putting the finishing touches on the stew. It smells so delicious that despite having a slice of pie earlier, your stomach's already growling at the thought of eating. As Trick dishes out your partition of the stew, however, you notice that once again, he didn't dish out any for himself. The bowl you set out for him remains empty. Are you not eating? You question him, confusion and concern evident in your tone. Trick gets that same look on his face that you saw him make at breakfast. He looks caught off guard like he wasn't expecting you to question it.
It takes him a moment to reply, seemingly trying to figure out what he wants to say. I'm honestly not that hungry. That pie filled me up. I'll eat later. He smiles at you, and though knowing him a bit better now, you can see just how fake it looks by comparison. Seriously? You skipped breakfast too though? Since you've been with him nearly the entire day, you're also pretty positive that slice of pie was all he had eaten. Maybe he has a health issue, or even an issue with food for that matter, so you decide not to press it further. Trick waves off your concern and smiles again. I'm fine, Pumpkin. I promise, I ain't eat a lot in general.
Suspicious! You frown at him in concern for a moment longer before sighing in resignation. Fine, just don't neglect your health or anything. Trick grins smugly at you, crossing his arms across his chest as he leans against the kitchen counter.
Are you worried about me? How sweet.
Bowl up your napkin and throw it at him. Yeah! The bowl hits him square on the nose and he snickers in response, clearly unfazed.
Is that no then?
You turn your attention back to the fresh stew in front of you, steam gently rising from the bowl. Oh, is Peppa making biscuit in the background? Look at her. He takes his seat across from you at the table and smiles as he briefly watches you enjoy the first few spoonfuls of the meal.
Do I get 5 stars?
Definitely, you're a really good cook. You smile gratefully back at him.
Thank you.
He chuckles for a moment before standing up from the table.
Mind if I go grab a quick shower while you're eating? It's gonna be bedtime before we know it.
Not at all.
I'll be right back.
He gives you a pat on the head as he walks towards the entryway of the kitchen before turning back to glance at you.
When you're done, just leave your bowl by the sink. I'll do the dishes later.
Alright, thank you. Trick grins in approval at your response.
That's a good little house guest. Finally got through to you, it seems.
Hey, whoa!
Alright, I'll leave you to a meal. I'm gonna go shower.
Trick gives you a little wave with his fingers as he heads out of the kitchen. You can hear the soft thud of his boots as he walks down the hall to the bathroom. After enjoying the rest of your stew, you gather up your dishes and set them aside in the sink as promised. Trick wasn't alone with his shower yet, so you decide to wander into the living room to relax while you wait for him. As you walk in, your eyes naturally find the photo you saw from earlier, his face down on the table. A small part of you want to do a little more digging into the situation. Trick talked about his childhood friend abandoning him, yet he made it sound like he inherited this house from her. It didn't make a lot of sense to you just hearing his side, plus you wanted more details. It was hard not to be morbidly curious about the topic. You doubt you'd ever be able to get Trick to talk about it willingly in any case. You lean to the hallway just to make sure you can still hear the running water from Trick's shower before you quickly move to take another look at the photo. A grimace forms on your face as you see the brutal scratches across the child's face again. Trick seems so charming and charismatic, yet seeing this makes you consider him in a darker light. Your eyes study the doll held in the child's hands again as well. It was literally identical to Trick, down to every last detail. It was even wearing tiny black gloves. How did that make any sense? You'd assume that he and his friend in the end just had matching dolls of each other, yet the doll in the photo matched Trick as he currently was, not as a child himself. You can't really think of any explanation for it. Why would a doll from years and years ago look like him now? Trick did mention that his friendship ended a long time ago, so it isn't like this was a recent affair either. Before you can think about it further, you hear the sound of the bathroom door opening. Quickly, you place the photo frame face down on the table again and move into what you hope looks like a relaxed, casual position on the couch. Trick walks in a moment later, towel drying his blonde hair as a few droplets splash onto his shoulders. He's still wearing his gloves and boots despite just getting out of the shower. In fact, you never seen him take them off. You think he want to be comfortable in his own home. Honestly, the more you thought about Trick past the surface level, the stranger he got. Trick notices you looking him over and flashes you a smug look. What, do you like the view or something? You're staring an awful lot, Pumpkin. Normally a flirty line like that from Trick would cause your cheeks to at least turn the tiniest bit pink, but you're too thrown off at the moment to respond properly. So instead you give him what you hope is an apologetic smile. Sorry, I was just zoning out. I didn't mean to stare. Trick studies you carefully for a few moments and you swear you see his eyes glance at the photo on the table for a brief second. But then he shrugs and goes back to toweling off his damp hair. I'm gonna make another pot of tea, by the way. It's a good way to wind down for bed. Same flavor as last night? Yeah, that sounds nice right now. Thank you. You think a cup of hot tea might be just what your frazzled mind needs to calm down.
Okay, get that started. Relax, by the way. You look like you just saw a ghost or something. Did that last boom of thunder scare you?
He teases lightheartedly as he notices your posture wasn't as casual as you hoped it was after seeing the photo again. Oh, very funny. It shook the whole house. Of course I jumped a little. You reply back sardonically using his provided excuse for you. Trick gives you one final smirk before turning towards the kitchen to presumably make that one pot of tea for you. Speaking of storms, you give a quick look out the window to see the rain still pelting harshly against the glass, and the occasional flash of lightning. You want to get back home. It definitely hasn't been terrible staying here with Trick, and you're grateful for his hospitality and assistance. But it has been nearly 2 full days now. Your mind drifted to your friend that you let know about your hiking trip. Wonder if they called the police about your absence yet. A sigh escapes you. This is turning into a mess. You were grateful that you still had a large handful of vacation days left from work, So at the very least, you wouldn't have to worry about losing your job. Things could have turned out worse. You could still be lost out in the woods, presumably near death from exposure at this point, if not dead already. Trick was strange, but if he meant you harm, he would have done something. Right? Or he's just lying in wait like a snake. After a few minutes, you're pulled from your thoughts by the familiar noise of the tea kettle. Trick walks in a moment later, carrying 2 teacups, sporting little ghosts and candies on them. He sets them down on the coffee table in front of the couch before taking a seat next to you, just on the line of being too close. Trick, as if reading your mind, looks over at you and asks,
So you're happy to be going home tomorrow? I can't see the storm lasting for a 3rd day.
Yeah, but I'll miss you. And I also want to thank you again for everything you've done to help me out. Trick looks at you completely stunned for a few long moments before a huge grin spreads across his face.
You mean it? I'm holding you to that offer earlier for coming back to visit.
The two of you fall into a comfortable silence. Then when you glance at Trick again, he's staring at the fireplace, an unreadable expression on his face. He looks conflicted, and maybe a little sad too. It was obvious he wasn't exactly overjoyed at the thought of you leaving the next day. You did feel a little guilty. He lived out here in the woods all by himself, and he clearly enjoyed your company a lot. Too much, probably. But still, you could always come back and visit. His charm was beginning to get to you the more time you spent with him, and you definitely wouldn't be opposed to seeing where your relationship ended up in the future. The weirder aspects of him still weighed on you, but maybe that was something you'd grow used to in time. You reach out to take the teacup from the table and drink a few sips. The tea is warm and comforting, almost immediately putting you at ease. Trick takes his cup to do the same, and you both sit in comfortable silence for a while, simply enjoying the peace and the fireplace crackling in front of you. After a while, you feel a familiar sense of exhaustion from the previous night. It was difficult to even keep your eyes open, especially with your relaxed position on the couch. I feel like there's something more than lavender and chamomile in that tea. Trick takes notice and gives you a soft nudge.
Sleepy? It's late enough. Don't force yourself and try and stay up. Come on, let's get you to bed.
He says gently, standing up and offering a hand to help you to your feet. A small noise of agreement leaves you as you find yourself too tired to argue with him. He gives your hand a soft squeeze as you accept his help, and he walks you out of the living room into the guest room. Trick pulls back the blankets for you and lights a candle on the table as you tiredly haul yourself back into bed.
Sweet dreams, Pumpkin. I'll see you in the morning.
He smiles at you one final time before closing the door, and you can faintly hear his footsteps as he walks away. You don't even realize you've fallen asleep until you blearily blink your eyes open, groggily surveying your surroundings. A quick glance at the window shows that it's still dark outside, and judging by the still burning candle on the table, you haven't been asleep all that long. As much as you want to fall back asleep, the unbearable dryness in your mouth demands you down a glass of water first. You carefully climb out of bed into your feet, still feeling fairly groggy and out of it from your exhaustion. Bracing your hand on the wall, you move down the now dark alleyway and into the kitchen. Painfully, it looks like Trick did the dishes from your dinner. So you grab your glass from earlier where it still sits on the counter. You really didn't feel like rummaging around those cabinets. You fill your glass at the sink and take several large gulps of water before setting it on the counter with a relieved sigh. Much better. As you move to head back to your room, however, you hear a noise that causes you to pause. An odd clicking sound seems to be coming from the living room. The orange glow from the fireplace is gone, but you still make out some faint light seeping into the hallway. Was Trick still awake? Your curiosity gets the better of you as you quietly pad over to the entryway to the living room peek around the corner. You spot Trick sitting on his couch, seemingly inspecting his arm for some reason. On closer look, you see something is off, however. I knew it! I knew it! Ball joints. With his gloves off and his sleeves rolled up, you can clearly see them on his fingers, wrists, and elbows. Before you can question it, Trick's head quickly turns in your direction and you make eye contact. Trick's eyes go wide and he quickly shoves down the sleeves of his shirt and tucks his hands at his sides and out of your view. It flashes you a smile, but you can tell how strained it looks.
Pumpkin, what are you doing out of bed? You should be fast asleep right now.
Oh, I got up to get water. You reply, a little thrown off by his response. I'm going back now. You mutter a quick goodnight before turning and dashing off behind the hallway into the guest room where you shut the door behind you. I knew it! That was weird. You never seen prosthetics like those before, and on both arms no less. Trick's reaction to you seeing them was incredibly odd as well. You climb back into bed and stare up at the ceiling, suddenly feeling wide awake. Well, if he really wanted to talk about it with you, he'd tell you tomorrow, so there was really no point dwelling on it. Eventually, you managed to fall back into a dreamless slumber. The next morning, you had forgotten about the odd events from last night. Sunlight was streaming gently through the window, and into the room, painting everything in a soft ethereal glow. It looks like the storm is finally over. At the very least, Trick can give you directions back into town, even if the power still happens to be out. You open the door to the room and shuffle down the hallway to find Trick. Though when you spot him hiding in the same spot on the couch from last night, your memories come flooding back and you instinctively glance down at his arms. His gloves and sleeves are back in place and you can vividly picture the intricate ball joints under the fabric. Trick notices your gaze and flashes you his usual smirk, though it looks slightly forced.
Staring isn't polite, you know.
As much as you want to ask him about what you saw, it definitely isn't polite to keep asking about something like that.
especially since he put so much effort into keeping them hidden.
You're right.
I'm sorry I made you uncomfortable last night. I won't pry. Trick in turns gives you a confused look, his brows furrowing. Uncomfortable about what?
Now is your turn to look confused. About accidentally seeing your arms? Your prosthetics?
Something flashes across Trick's expression for a moment, and you swear you see the corner of his lips quirk in amusement. But as soon as it came, it left, and he's back to looking confused, now with an added bit of concern. What are you talking about? I don't have prosthetics. He makes a show of holding up both his hands and wiggling his fingers still covered by his gloves.
Trick, you didn't be embarrassed or anything. I don't have an issue or anything like that again I saw last night.
Last night before you went to bed, when we were having tea.
He tilts his head and adds a show of confusion, and a small part of your brain can't help but think he's faking it. No, when I got up to get water, remember? You even spoke to me.
Trick raises his eyebrows, his expression now turning slightly skeptical as he regards you. Pumpkin, I never saw you last night. I went to bed right after you did, so even if you did get up, I was in my room. Are you sure you didn't just have a really weird and realistic dream?
The look on his face is almost like he's pitying you now, and you feel a small amount of annoyance flaring up in response. Was he seriously trying to gaslight you now? Or maybe you did just have a really realistic dream. Oh, god damn it! In any case, it wasn't worth to argue over, even if he was lying. It was his business, and if he wanted to keep it secret from you, then so be it. Look how cute Pud Pud is in the bottom right corner. She's so cute. I love her. She's the bee's knees. A sigh escaped you as you meet his eyes again. I guess it was just a weird dream. Sorry again. Something like smug satisfaction passes over Trick's expression for a second. Oh, you little shit!
No worries, it happens. Now, want me to cook you some breakfast?
No! Actually, before that, I want to ask. Is the power back on yet? I see the storm finally stopped. Trick frowns and shakes his head in response.
Nope, sorry, like I said. I live way out in the middle of nowhere, so it might be a while before the power company can come fix it.
Well, can you at least just give me directions back into town? I can just walk.
All the way back to town, that's a big hike, Pumpkin. Why don't you just stay a bit longer, wait for the power?
I really want to get home. Trick sighs heavily at your reply.
I'm sure I'm just worried about you walking all the way back.
He sighs in resignation.
Can I at least make you stay for breakfast before you go? Please.
The near desperate tone in his voice catches you off guard and you find yourself agreeing without even thinking about it. Sure, I like that. Can you stop looking like a kicked puppy now? We already agreed this isn't going to be the last we see of each other. Trick looks away, his arms crossing over his chest.
I know.
He mumbles, nearly pouting.
I didn't think I could like anyone this much since...
He trails off, but you have a feeling he was going to mention his childhood friend again.
And the point is, I like you a lot. I know that's probably incredibly creepy coming from a random guy you met just 2 days ago, but it's how I feel. Now, come sit down while I make breakfast so we can stop talking about emotions. I'm bad at them.
After breakfast, Trick brought you your original clothes for you to wear. You had gone back to the guest bedroom to change, and were now sitting on the edge of the bed for a moment as you collected your thoughts. You couldn't shake the strange sense of unease you felt since last night. I felt like you were missing something. Like you didn't have enough puzzle pieces to see the bigger picture. With a small sigh, you stand up off the bed and start to walk out of the room. So when is shit gonna hit the fan? Your foot catches on something sticking out from under the bed, however. A small notebook goes skidding across the wooden floor. Curiosity gets the better of you and you pick it up to examine the cover. It's a simple notebook with a cute stylized Halloween pattern. Trick's journal maybe, though it didn't make sense for it to be in the guest room instead of his own bedroom. You flip open to a random page and begin reading. The handwriting is rough, as if the author is still young and doesn't have a good grasp on it yet. Me and Trick went to the park today to play. We jumped in leaf paths, collected acorns, and even had a picnic with Mommy. Tonight, Mommy says we can have a sleepover in the living room and watch movies and eat popcorn. Ah, so this must be the journal of Trick's childhood friend. That made more sense. You read the next few pages and smile sadly to yourself. They really did seem close based on the entries. Poor Trick. However, something in the next sentence caught your eye that made you freeze. I love Trick so much. I'm really thankful that Grandma made him for me. I have a best friend that I can bring with me everywhere now. I freaking knew it! Made him for me? This must be referring to that little plush doll that resembles Trick in the photo. But the entries you read in the journal gave no mention to the actual Trick. You skim a few more entries, and it becomes more and more apparent that the only Trick that exists is in fact this child's doll. Your mind immediately wanders back to all the odd occurrences you noticed with Trick. You never did see him eat anything besides that slice of pumpkin pie, which didn't even make him flinch despite it being burning hot. He's always woken up before you and gone to bed after you, so you never seen him sleep, or even look remotely tired for that matter. Speaking of, have you ever seen him blink, or breathe? All of that combined with the ball joints you supposedly dreamed. Stop. This was getting ridiculous. You're not gonna let your mind run with the idea that Trick was some kind of sentient doll monster thing. Trick was a perfectly normal human with just some odd tendencies. You take a breath to calm your nerves before closing the journal and tucking it back under the bed. When you walk back out into the hall, Trick is standing by the front door with an unreadable expression on his face. His boot is tapping softly against the floor as his hand is raised to his mouth as if he's deep in thought. When he notices you, however, he plasters a smile.
You're leaving now then?
You nod in reply and walk over to where he's standing. It takes all your willpower not to stare at his chest to see if it's rising and falling with his breathing. You refuse to let yourself buy into delusions like that. I am, but I wrote down my number for you. Text me sometimes so we can meet up again. You slip him a small piece of paper which he looks over for a moment before tucking it into his pocket. For some reason though, he almost looks disappointed. Why? What's going on?
Are you sure there's no way I can convince you to stay until the power's back on, and you can charge your phone to call someone?
I really need to get home. I have work and people who will be worried about me. You explain gently to him, but he just sighs in response. Yeah, Trick, I gotta go home.
I get it.
He replies as he opens up the front door for you and steps aside. Bye, Trick. It was nice meeting you, and thank you again for all your help, really. You say sincerely, giving him a warm smile as you go to walk past him. Before you make it out of the door, however, you feel a hand close around your wrist.
Yinny, wait.
Mildly surprised you use your name for once, you turn to face him questioningly.
It really isn't safe for you to walk all the way back. It might start storming again. Or you could run into someone dangerous.
He says quickly, his tone beginning to sound desperate. I'll be fine. Thank you for the concern, but I can handle myself, I promise. You try to pull your wrist free, but Trick's grip is stuck like a vice, totally unmoving.
Please, don't leave me. I promise I'll make you happy.
You're starting to freak me out a bit here. Seriously, let go. You say in a more firm tone, your eyes narrowing at his pleading, desperate expression. When he doesn't budge, you give a firm yank of your arm. Trick clearly doesn't expect you to use your full strength, and the motion sends him tumbling forward against you. A soft curse escapes you as you feel him knock back against you painfully, his body hard, unnaturally so. You hear something fall and hit the wooden floor with a loud clattering noise. What you see on the floor doesn't quite register for a few moments, as if your mind is rejecting it. Trick's head is on the floor. Just his head. Horror grips you suddenly as you force yourself to look up at him. His body is standing in front of you. His hand is still gripping your wrist except for where his head should be. His neck simply ends in a rounded off post.
Well, that's unfortunate.
You hear him sigh from the floor. And when you look back down at his head, he has an annoyed expression on his face. Before you can even come to terms with what you're seeing, Trick's hand releases your wrist. His body bends over, and he grabs his head before setting it back into place with a small click.
And here I was really hoping the situation could have been avoided.
His tone indicated that the fact that his head came off was nothing more than a minor inconvenience. While you're still frozen in shock and fear, Trick brushes past you to close the front door. The sound of the lock clicking into place is what breaks you from your trance. You're suddenly hit with the realization that all the puzzle pieces have finally come together about Trick. All of his strangeness makes complete sense. As impossible as the realization is. You're a doll. You're that doll from the photo. Trick looks at you with a faux expression of disappointment.
Ah, so you did see it after all. It really isn't polite to snoop, Pumpkin.
I mean, you left it there on the freaking coffee table. If you really didn't want someone to see it, you should put it away better.
Oh, props to you putting together the pieces so quickly. I knew you were clever.
He gives you a sardonic smirk. How are you? You trail off, not even beginning to know how to comprehend what you were seeing in front of you.
Alive? How I went from a stupid little plush toy to this.
He pauses for dramatic effect before exclaiming.
I don't know. Isn't that a fun answer? I'm just as much in the dark as you are.
His expression suddenly sobers and he reaches out to grab your arm again.
Question and answer time is over for now, though.
Come on. He gives your arm a tug, trying to pull you down the hallway after him. Fight back! You scratch and claw at his hand, trying to release his grip on you, but all your efforts accomplish is making him sigh. The hard material of his body seems to make him completely resistant to any form of physical damage you try to inflict.
You're just gonna wear yourself out. But by all means, continue. I'll just carry on if I have to. Right this way, Pumpkin.
Damn! I mean, I was waiting for the evil to come out, so I can't really complain. Trick pulls you over to a door you haven't seen before, tucked away at the end of the hall. He pulls a set of keys out of his pocket and unlocks it. The door swings open to reveal a set of old wooden stairs leading down into complete darkness. You're not locking me in the freaking basement. Trick rolls his eyes and tugs you closer towards the door.
I am, temporarily at least. I need to figure out what to do with you.
He mutters the last bit under his breath, seemingly thinking to himself. His words send a chill through you as the gravity of your situation sinks in. Are you gonna kill me? Trick pauses and looks at you with a surprised expression, before he suddenly bursts into laughter.
Of course not. Why, do you think that just because you know what I am now, you have to die?
He tilts his head, his voice taking on a mocking and smug tone.
Please, like anyone would believe you.
Then why are you trying to lock me up? You glare at him, irritation beginning to outweigh your fear.
So you won't leave me? Didn't I already say that? Well, I thought it was obvious anyway. Don't worry, I'll make sure you learn to love it here with me.
No?
I'll make sure you love me.
Whoa! He smiles brightly at you, as if this is all completely normal and logical.
We'll play and have fun together. Well, hang on a second, what kind of fun? He tilts his head to the side with a sharp crack, a wide grin on his face. Ooh, what an expression, look at him. You're awful, aren't you? He reaches out and gently skims his fingertips across your cheeks, the tender gesture completely at odds with his words. And then you'll never want to leave. A shudder of terror shoots through your spine at his words, and you quickly make a break for it, intending to push past him and back down the hall. Before you can make it very far though, his hand closes around you and you jerk to a stop. Trick spins you around and pulls you against himself, his other arm moving to wrap around your waist to keep you trapped in his arms. Where do you think you're going? You're staying right here with me, pumpkin. He hums happily to himself and squeezes you before releasing you from his arms, though he keeps you close in case you try to bolt again. I don't understand. You were willing to let me walk out the front door 10 minutes ago. Trick shrugs nonchalantly in response. I changed my mind. I really did try and tell myself that you'd come back and I could still win you over slowly, but I just couldn't take that risk. What if you didn't keep your promise? What if you found someone else? So I'd much rather have the entire process all under my control. Why are you so obsessed with me? Regina George moment. I can't say that line without sounding like Regina George. I don't... You suddenly go quiet as the thought dawns on you. Your childhood best friend. You said I reminded you of her, your old owner. Trick's expression darkens and he smirks at you bitterly. You are clever. Well, I'm sure you put most of the pieces together then. So you must understand my motivations. I am not being abandoned a second time. Not by her. And not by you. I have a second chance here and I don't plan on wasting it. Things will go back to how they used to be. He suddenly tugs on your arm, dragging you over to the top of the basement stairs. Come on, I promise this is temporary. Believe it or not, I want you to be happy here, pumpkin. I want you to be happy with me. By locking me up and forcing me to love you. I don't care how long it takes. I have nothing but time on my hands. Now seriously, you can either come down willingly or I can give you more sedatives. I knew it! Pause, a mixture of horror and anger rising in you. More! Trick snickers and shoots you a smug, condescending look. Why do you think the tea made you so sleepy? He sighs, a look of faux disappointment on his face again. But clearly that second dose wasn't strong enough. You just had to wake up and walk in on me doing maintenance on my joints. You're too stunned to protest as he gives you a small push, causing you to stumble and find your footing on the staircase. Before you can react, the basement door slams in your face, plunging the stairwell into darkness. A moment later, you hear the lock click from the outside, as well as Trick's muffled voice. I'll be back later, pumpkin. I won't leave you down there, I promise. The sudden sincerity and what sounds like vulnerability in his voice catches you off guard. As much as you want to scream and curse at him through the door, you know it won't solve anything right now. There was a faint light coming from somewhere in the basement, allowing you to see the steps after your eyes adjusted a bit. You carefully make your way down the steps, gripping the handrail tightly. The basement is about what you expected, a simple, outdated storage room. The light was coming from a small window near the ceiling though. With how much dirt caked the glass, the light was dim. You walk around the room for a bit, looking for anything that could potentially break down the door or be used as a weapon if need be. Sadly, there wasn't much down here besides boxes and other miscellaneous junk. What does catch your eye, however, is the breaker box on the wall. The metal door is open, allowing you to see something that makes your blood boil with anger all over again. The master switch is flipped to the off position. Oh, this bitch! The bastard was lying the entire time about the power being out. He must have come down here at some point and flipped the breaker to allow him to keep using the power as an excuse to keep you here. He probably when he drugged you the first night. Cursing under your breath, you flip the switch and magically the basement is flooded in light. It's still dim and honestly rather creepy, but at least you can see a lot better now. You give the room more thorough sweep, but still don't find anything you could use to break out or break the trick. You really feel like hitting his stupid plastic ass with something heavy right now. Lots of emotions swirled inside you, creating a tumultuous mess of negativity. You were livid at him. Yes, but a part of you also couldn't help but feel hurt and betrayed. His entire personality was just what? A carefully crafted persona to make you like him. Because you reminded him of his old owner. You had really been looking forward to establishing a better relationship with him, going out together to see where things went. You felt sick. You need to find a way out of here. When you hear a knock at the door to the basement, it feels to you like several hours have passed. How are you doing? Awful. You hear his voice call out to you through the door. You make your way to the top of the steps so you can reply directly from him to the other side of the wood. Just great. I love being trapped in a dark, creepy basement by a psychopathic sentient doll. You hiss the words out, venom dripping from each one. Trick the arsehole laughs from the other side. Honestly, I'm glad you're mad at me. I don't know how I would have handled it if you had been a crying, sobbing mess. You can't see it obviously, but you give the door the finger. Really though, I'm sorry. I just don't have a better place to put you right now. Yes, because your apology means so much to me. Are you also sorry for lying to me? Drugging me and kidnapping me? Your fist bangs on the door as you shout the last few words. Trick doesn't reply for a few moments, as if he's collecting his thoughts. When he does respond, his voice is soft and vulnerable. I'm not, no. I need you here. I know you don't understand, but I can't let you go. Suddenly, the vulnerable tone in his voice is gone, once again replaced by the smug one of self-satisfaction. So really, it's in your best interest to learn to like it here. See you in a bit. Before you can reply, you hear his footsteps walking away from the door. Several obscenities leave your mouth as you bang on the door over and over again, demanding he come back and let you out. By the time you're exhausted from trying to beat down the door with an old PVC pipe, you hear Trick return. God, you really have a lot of energy, don't you? Yeah, I'll show you exactly how much energy I have. Bend over, I'll hit you with this pipe. That was like a solid half hour cursing me out. I'm impressed, really. His smug voice comes from the other side of the door. You're too worn out to give him the full force of your rage, so instead you just mutter a simple asshole and leave it at that. You don't need to see Trick's face to know he's grinning. It's honestly kind of attractive seeing you so full of fire, even if it is directed at me. Oh, shut up. I refuse to feed into your sick, twisted fantasies. You snap back, voice weak with exhaustion. Trick laughs and you hear him lean against the door. You really are something, you know? You're in a hopeless, terrifying situation, and you think the best course of action is swearing at me and giving me death threats while trying to break down the door. You're actually nothing at all like... He trails off, his voice going quiet. Like your best friend. You finish it for him, your voice no longer carrying the form of venom it had before. Trick is quiet for a while, and you almost think he's walked away until you hear his back slide down the door until he's sitting against it, just like you are from your side. It's terrifying how much you look like her. It begins quietly. I almost didn't know how to react when you showed up on my doorstep. You look like a drowned kitten. He snickers for a moment before his voice sobers again. For a second I thought you were her, and then you open your mouth. You can practically see the sardonic smirk on his face. So you did only take me in because I looked like her? You ask, unable to keep the bitter tone out of your voice. Nah, I wouldn't have left you out in that storm even if you didn't look alike. I may not have a physical heart, but I'm not heartless. And says the one who lied to me, drugged me, and kidnapped me. People with hearts don't do that. Trick scoffs from the other side of the door. Are you gonna keep bringing all of that up every time? Yes! What? What do you mean? And besides, I'm not a person. He's quiet again for a while before he continues. But no, I wouldn't have left you in the storm. I would have let you call someone to come get you. Lucky me, so because I share a goddamn face with someone I get kidnapped. I'm so glad to hear that you're only selectively a monster. You snap angrily, and with that you both fall into a tense silence for a few minutes. A thought that had been weighing on you since Trick's big reveal causing you to speak up again. What happened to your friend? The kid who had you? Did she? You trail off, unwilling to say the word in fear of what the response might be. What, you think I murdered her? I may have complicated feelings, but I'm not a murderer. You hear Trick sigh and the sound of his head thunk against the door as he leans back against it. A small wave of relief washes over you at his answer. Given everything you knew about the situation, you wouldn't be entirely surprised if Trick had snapped and... Anyway, and you? You really don't know how you turned into what you are now. Trick seems like he's in a talking mood right now, and part of you wonders if you could potentially talk him into letting you out. Best to find out all you can about him anyway. No, one day I just woke up. I wasn't that little plush doll her grandma sewed for her. I was this. And I was angry. Because you felt like she abandoned you. She did abandon me. The little analogy I used about having a favorite toy, I was that favorite toy. She took me with her everywhere. We're always together, no other toy of hers she compared to me. She loved Halloween. It was her favorite holiday. I was a gift to her from her grandma along with a basket full of treats. It's why I love the holiday so much too. It rubbed off on me. He sounds almost wistful as he talks until his voice turns bitter and resentful again. And then she grew up, decided she was too old for toys. She didn't even give me the courtesy of putting me on a shelf or something. No, she threw me in the box with the rest of her old toys and locked me away in the basement to be forgotten. I was down there for over a decade. He laughs bitterly and you swear you hear his breath catch for a moment, as if he's almost in tears. You swallow and carefully think over what he has to say before replying. Were you sentient as the plush doll too? Not in the way you're assuming. I can remember vague feelings and emotions, but I wouldn't call it sentience. You almost don't want to ask the next question because you can't live with not knowing the answer. What did you do when you woke up? I confronted her. I went right up into her room and demanded to know why she left me down there all alone for those years. He laughs bitterly again. You can imagine how well that went. She screamed in terror. Her father rushed in. I grabbed a pair of scissors off the desk and threatened him that it was between me and my best friend. He goes quiet for a minute or so, but you can't bring yourself to say anything in reply. When he speaks up again, his voice is hollow and emotionless. The whole family packed up in a hurry and never came back. I've been here ever since, stupidly thinking that maybe one day she'd come back and we could make up. Gone. You don't even know how to begin to reply to that. Okay, but he still kidnapped me. On one hand, what he did was horrible and out of line and frankly terrifying. On the other hand, he isn't a person. He might look like an adult, but he may as well be a toddler when it comes to his emotional capacity, and you can see that clearly now. Someone with no prior socialization and concept of emotion suddenly wakes up
and is hit with years of resentment and betrayal all at once. It's not right, but you get it. A normal person in the same situation might even react in a similar manner. That is true. And then I show up with her face.
And then you show up with her face.
He confirms, the bitter and resentful tone back in his voice. Do you even actually want me, or do you just want the idea of your friend back?
Both? I know you're not her. I do. I know you'll never be her.
He says softly, so quiet you can barely hear it through the door.
But I have this aching empty hole in my chest that she created. Nothing has been able to fill it. I was so sure that this was the way to do it. I could make you love me. I could have someone to play with again. I wouldn't be alone anymore.
Your positive trick is crying now, given the way his voice breaks. If dolls can cry.
I know everything I've done to you is horrible, and you have every reason to hate me.
I do.
I kept telling myself that it was necessary for the bigger picture. How you'd forgive me one day if I could just...
He trails off again, and you can hear a barely audible sob from the other side of the door. Trick goes quiet after that, and you take a moment to collect your thoughts before you reply to him. It's impossible for you not to feel some degree of empathy for him given everything you just heard. God, that was twisted. He manipulated you, lied to you, drugged you, and kidnapped you, and somehow you still felt for him. But given the fact that he's also a living doll with zero emotional maturity and understanding of the concepts of morality, you sigh heavily to yourself. It's gonna turn out much, much worse. You do have to give him some credit for that at least. When you speak up again, your voice is stern yet holds a note of sympathy. Trying to manipulate someone into loving you and locking them away, and trying to force them to care about you even if it works, it wouldn't be real. That isn't how genuine love happens. You sigh and run your fingers through your hair as you try and figure out what to say. I can't even begin to imagine how hard things have been for you. And I'm sorry for all that you've gone through, but I'm never gonna be able to fill that void for you. That isn't how it works. There's no magical fix. You state bluntly but not unkindly. Everyone has things that they wish they could change in their past. Everyone deals with grief at some point in their life. Some more than others, and none of it is fair. But focusing on the past and refusing to look forward is never going to help. You're obsessed with finding a replacement for her. But things will never be exactly the same. It's hard to accept, I know. But it's just how life is, how being a person is. You say earnestly, trying your hardest to convey your feelings to him. Fill yourself with new memories, ones that make you happy and bring you joy. And one day you look back, and your past grief will still hurt, yes, but it won't be anything in comparison to what you feel now. What you've been feeling for far too long now. Trick doesn't reply for a long time. And you're worried that maybe your words had the wrong effect on him. You're pulled out of your thoughts suddenly by the sound of the lock clicking. Quickly, you stand up and take a step back from the door as it opens. The bright light of the hallway blinds you momentarily, making you squint. When your vision clears, you see Trick standing to the side, his orange eyes downcast to the floor and an unmistakable expression of guilt on his face.
You're right. Everything you said is right. I'm sorry. I know it isn't right for me to keep you here, but this isn't how a person makes someone love them.
He murmurs, still refusing to meet your gaze.
This isn't how you're supposed to treat someone you care about. Locking them in the basement, especially when I know firsthand how horrible that is.
When he finally does lift his gaze to meet yours, he looks miserable, but his eyes are also filled with remorse.
I'm so sorry, Yinny.
He repeats, the added use of your name instead of his pet name, catching you off guard for a moment. I don't forgive you. Trick winces at your words, but to his credit also holds your gaze and seemingly accepts them. But I'd be willing to help you make up for all this, until the day where I do forgive you. Trick's jaw drops, and he stares at you with his eyes so wide you almost laugh if not for the situation.
You're not gonna leave me.
Oh no, I'm gonna leave. That's so funny. However, I'm not against occasionally meeting up. In very, very public places. Trick grimaces, but reluctantly nods in agreement.
I get it.
Sometimes to teach a sentient doll how to be human after all, and I feel oddly responsible to do just that. A small grin breaks out on his face, and he quickly moves to cover it with his hand. The action makes you smile too. Thank you for coming to your senses. And hey, as far as sentient dolls go, the ones in movies tend to be far worse. Me saying that, however, is in no way an excuse for your behavior. Now out of the way so I can finally go home. I'm positive someone has filed a missing persons report for me at this point, and I really don't feel like explaining living dolls to the police if they show up here. Trick obediently steps out of your way, raising his hands in surrender. He's uncharacteristically silent as he tails after you to the front door, and you notice he keeps a healthy distance between the two of you. He reminds you of some timid animal that doesn't want to get too close. The complete opposite of the flirty, borderline clingy version he was yesterday. You open the front door before turning to look at him again. You're aware that everything you did to me was wrong. I condone none of it. I should leave and never ever come back. But thank you for saving me from the storm. And for the pumpkin pie. I enjoyed a lot of my time with you, and I'd like to think it wasn't all just manipulation on your part. Trick looks stunned for a second before he can hold back a surprised laugh.
I'll make you proud of me, I promise. I don't care how long it takes, I'll make up for all of this. Also, it was only 20% manipulation.
God damn it. You can't tell me that. This is not something that you tell me. His familiar smirk is back as he crosses his arms and leans against the doorway. Both his good smack and hug him. You reach out and give his arm a small smack before he can react. You're hugging him. Trick freezes for a moment in shock before you feel him hesitantly return your hug as if he's afraid to touch you. Then he relaxes once he feels you squeeze him and hugs you back in earnest.
Alright, get out of here, Pumpkin.
I have an online therapy class I need to sign up for. Yes, you do. Good. I'm proud of you. He grins and gives you a gentle push towards the porch steps. Hilarious. You roll your eyes at him, though part of you wonders how much of that statement was actually a joke. I'll see you, Trick. You give him a little wave before turning to leave.
Bye, Yinny.
He winks playfully at you. It's been a treat. Months later.
Pumpkin, I don't want to. This feels wrong.
Trick protests, a whine audible in his voice. You're the one that wanted the cute Halloween date. You reply with an unamused look at the scene before you. It had been your idea to carve pumpkins with him, but as soon as it came to even touching a gourd with a knife, he had resorted to this. Besides, you have carved pumpkins on your front porch right now.
Those are before I met you.
He frowns, twirling the knife in his hand with such dexterity it honestly freaks you out a bit. To think you're at a point in your relationship where you trusted Trick with a knife of all things. But to his credit, he had spent the last few months doing nothing but making up for his past mistakes. He had come incredibly far in such a short amount of time, you couldn't help but be impressed. Trick took it upon himself to study human psychology and emotions, especially when it comes to regulating his own and dealing with past grief. Your relationship has started slow, with the two of you meeting up once a week or so for public outings. Then it eventually graduated to him visiting you at your house and even staying the night. By this point, such a long time had passed that you felt comfortable enough to truly begin a romantic relationship with him. Which brought you back to what you were currently dealing with. Give me that. I'll do it for you. Aww. You reach out for the pumpkin in front of him, but he immediately snatches it back and holds it protectively. Back off, I'll just draw a face on it with a marker or something. Oh my god, it was basically pouting. This man locked you in a basin all those months ago and now look at him. You sigh and raise your hand in surrender. Trick relaxes a bit and stands up from the table.
I'm making tea. Want some?
Is that a threat? Trick stares at you before bursting into laughter.
And if I tried to lace your tea with sedatives again, you'd fight it off on pure spite alone.
You're damn right. Yes, I want some, by the way. Please and thank you. Trick grins and leans down to brush a kiss against your cheek before moving to get started on the tea. When the tea is done, you both have steaming cups in front of you and you give Trick a curious look. How do you eat? I never asked. Like the tea and the pumpkin pie we made together. Trick grimaces and glances away from you.
Obviously, I'm hollow inside, you know that. So if I do eat something, it just kind of sits in my torso cavity until I wash it out. It's gross, I know. That's why I shower right after eating something. I usually don't bother with food, but sweets, they're just too good to resist.
That's simultaneously the grossest thing I've ever heard, but also kinda cool. Does that mean your head's hollow too? Because that explains a lot. You smirk and reach over and gently knock against his head until he swats your hand away with a frown. Funny. The two of you sit in comfortable silence as you drink your tea and finish up your respective pumpkins. Trick did indeed draw a face on his with a marker true to his word, after he excuses himself to the bathroom, presumably to wash the tea out. Gross. When he walks back into the room, he nudges your arm.
Grab your jack-o'-lantern so we can put it on the porch.
You follow him outside after grabbing a candle and a lighter as well. And soon enough, your jack-o'-lantern was sitting proudly all lit up. Yours turned out really nice.
Yours turned out really nice, Pumpkin. I like the design you went with.
Thanks, yours is cute too. No one says they had to be carved. Trick frowns.
Don't patronize me. Now I believe I was promised a Halloween-themed movie night.
He reaches over to take your hand and laces his fingers with yours, not bothering to wait for a reply as he practically drags you back inside. Whoa! Several hours later, you and Trick are curled up comfortably on the couch in front of the fireplace. He has his arm wrapped around you with your body tucked up against his side, his free hand is absent-mindedly running through your hair and massaging your scalp. Trick isn't the most comfy person in the world to cuddle with, given the material of his body, but you don't mind. The credits roll for the last movie and the two of you have put on, and a small yawn escapes you.
You gonna crash here or just head back home? It's getting late.
I'll stay if I can sleep on your bed this time. Trick's eyes go wide, and even though it doesn't make sense given his physiology, you swear you see him blush.
You're not being serious.
I totally am.
Wipe that smug look off your face, you brat.
Trick moves his arms from around you in order to stretch, his joints clicking together quietly under his clothes. His arm returns to its previous position, and you notice he's looking at you with a serious expression. What?
Nothing, I'm glad you're here, Yinny.
Willingly even. You add just to tease him and keep things from getting too heavy. Trick gives you a deadpan look.
I'm trying to be sincere here and you're messing with me.
Despite his words, you can make out the tiniest hint of a grin he's trying to suppress.
Stop and let me be sappy.
You mimic the motion of zipping your lips. He rolls his eyes before continuing.
As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted. Thank you, really, for giving me a chance and sticking with me all this time, even though I didn't deserve it.
He says in a much softer tone, his orange eyes warm and loving. Instead of replying with words, you reach up to tilt his head towards you and softly press your lips to his. Trick pulls you closer to him and kisses you back. wanting you to feel all of his affection and adoration for you in it. He sighs after you both pull away and rests his forehead against yours.
My sweet little pumpkin.
He coos softly, one hand coming up to caress your cheek.
I don't ever want to let you go.
You both pause.
In a completely normal, healthy way.
He amends, giving you a lopsided grin.
Always assume that's implied from now on.
His expression softens again.
I mean it though. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you for making me feel human.
No, we did it! I think there's only one ending for this though. I'm gonna go back and scan, but I'm pretty sure there's only one ending. Okay, I am glad that he came to his senses though, but the implication there is that he did work on himself and also go to therapy and really like help himself out before we entered the relationship with him. Because I feel like sometimes it's very difficult to balance I guess like happy endings for Yandere games because you don't want to come off like you're romanticizing something awful. So I think this was a pretty good approach for it, to be honest. Anyways, I did scan through the game again. There only does seem to be one ending. So thank you very much for coming on this adventure with me. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. One of my favorite things in this that I really liked was when his head fell off and you could see like the neck stump. I thought that was a really nice touch. And also the joints on his elbows and his hands. I really like that as well. I think the build up to the reveal was done really well, even though there were quite a lot of hints at the beginning. And because I am a nosy, perceptive butthole sometimes, I was just like, I kind of feel like he might be the doll. But thank you so much for coming on this adventure with me. I hope you guys had a lovely stay. And if you did like the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. And also, if you want exclusive playthroughs from me, including completely uncut spicy reactions to dating sims that I play, as well as spicy art that I do, feel free to check out my Patreon. Link is in the description box below. But that's all for now, and until the next fictional man, take care.